Hello, this is Kevin. Welcome to part 5 of my tutorial on uh, generic class-based views for the EZ University project. Part 5 is about create views. And so we have a create view for each of our model classes: instructor, section, course, semester, student, registration. And together, we're going to refactor the ones for instructor and section, and then on your own, you're going to do course, semester, student, registration. Okay, so we're going to begin with Instructor Create. Okay, and let's go look at that. Okay, let's fire up the development server. Okay, and let's just take a look at the way Instructor Create works right now. So we go to Instructors and we click the button for Create New Instructor. And let's create a person who's going to sort to the top. So let's say that the last name is Adams with 2 A's. And let's say their first name is Alex with 2 A's. And let's say they're disambiguated. They're from Alaska. I've already used that one before. Okay. So that's great. We're going to create that instructor. And that looks good. They don't have any sections yet, but it looks like we've created an instructor. And then let's go up and click on the instructor list, and there's Alex Adams. And they work just fine. So if we go to that page and we said that we want to delete this extra instructor we created, and we click on delete, well, that's going to work just fine. Okay, so that's our current functionality. Okay, and let's just go find our current code for that. So here it is, right here. Oh, this is one for registration, so we're down the bottom. Let's go back up to the top. Instructor Create comes right after Instructor Detail, so this is the code for it here. And let's see, it's called Instructor Create. It's a subclass of View. We have to populate 2 instance variables, one that points it at the form and the other one that points it at the template. And one thing that we want to avoid is we have this object create mix-in, which admittedly, we did not invent the code for that ourselves, but we borrowed it from the book Django Unleashed by Andrew Pinkham, which is the textbook in the spring of 2021. When I'm recording this, but it probably won't be the textbook a year from now because it's getting pretty out of date. So we don't want to keep using that code, and we don't want, kind of custom code. Anything that we use that's not from the Django distribution is something that we are committed to maintaining. Okay, so what we really would, so our motivation for refactoring these create views is to get rid of object create mixin. Okay? Okay, so let's look at the documentation for create view. It's on the page for generic editing views. Okay? Form view, create view, update view, delete view. Wow. So the ones that we're going to be using are uh, create view now, but later on we're going to be looking at update view and delete view. And let's just go down and find create view. It's right here. Okay. And it has some information on attributes. So these would be the names of instance variables that we could populate, and then has some examples of how to do it. Okay, and it's got some methods that I guess we could override. It has a get and a post that we could do. Okay, but it turns out that we're not going to have to do anything all that special. Okay, we're just going to use the view. It's going to be pretty easy to do. Okay, so here we are, Instructor Create. So let me go to my already baked version and find Instructor Create, and it looks like this. Okay, so I'm going to copy this. So I'm going to do the standard thing. Let's highlight the current version of the code and toggle it into a comment, and put 3 enters and paste the new code in. Okay, and it's pretty straightforward. We haven't used create view before, so we need to import it. Just take the import. Okay, and what do? Well, we need to tell it the form class is instructor form, and then the model class is instructor. And look at this compared to the code we're replacing. And you might think, well, we're trading 3 lines of code for 3 lines of code. Why would we want to do that? The reason we want to do this is we don't want to have to maintain object create mixin. Okay? When we get done with the changes for this current part of the tutorial, we want to get rid of the imports for this in views, and then we want to go to where that code is, and so the imports are up here. Okay, so we're saying from utils import object create mixin. We're not going to need that anymore because we're not going to be using it. And then if we go to utils, okay, this whole top class is going to be gone, and the imports that it uses. Okay, so much less code for us to have to maintain. That's the motivation for this. Okay, it's not that we're trading 3 lines of code for 3 lines of code, because that's not much of a change. Okay, but not having to maintain object create mixin, that's a real gain. Okay, so let's go back to our browser. Okay, let's go to instructors. Okay, and let's create a new instructor, and let's give them a name that's going to sort in the top of the alphabet. Let's say that the last name is Adams with 3 A's. And the first name is Alice. And let's say that she's from Alaska as well. So she'll sort to the top. So we created her just fine. It looks like the code works, right? Let's look at the instructor list. There she is at the top. That's good. And now let's go delete her. So we go back to the detail page. We delete her. We confirm it, and she's gone. All right, that works. Now we have to go and get rid of the commented code and test it again. So that's the commented code. That's all done. And let's test it again. I'm just going to use the same example. Okay. So her name's going to be Adams. Alice. She's going to get a disambiguator of Alaska. And we're going to create the instructor. There she is. Go to the instructor list. There she is at the top. Okay. Delete her and confirm it. Okay, so that one's done. That one's pretty straightforward. Okay. Now the next one that we're going to do together is section create, and we want to do that through a cloning approach rather than copying the code in. Okay, so let's just copy the code that we just put in. Copy, and then go down and find section create. Section creates right here. And I'm going to toggle that into a comment and give myself some blank lines. Okay, so now we have to do the changing part of the cloning. So it's not instructor create, it's section create. Okay, and it's not instructor form, it's section form. And the model class is not instructor, it's section. And that should be it. So now already we're ready to go to test the new code. Oh, I brought over the wrong browser. Here's the browser we wanted. So let's go to sections. Okay. Click for the button for create new section. So let's call it let's give it a name like YYYY. That's the section name. The semester is going to be spring 2022. The course is going to be this imaginary course, Information as a Spiritual Force. The instructor is going to be Bella Bailey. Okay, and create the section. And there's our section. That looks good. Okay. And go back to the list of sections. And there it is. Okay. That's fine. And let's click through to get to the detail page and delete it. And confirm it. And it's gone. Okay. Well, that looks good. Now let's just get rid of the commented code. Okay, that's good. And click off to get the editor to save, and let's come on back and run that again. So let's refresh that page, create a new section, YYYY, spring 2022, course IS439, instructor. Let's make this Emily Baker this time. Create the section. There it is. That looks good. Okay. Go to the list of sections. There's IS 999 section YYYY in spring of 2022. That's it. Okay. And then we'll go to that detail page and delete it and confirm it, and it's gone. All right, so that works. So I want to tell you two things here. Okay, thing one, okay, we've done instructor in section, and we did section by a cloning sort of approach. So now what I want you to do is to pause the video, okay, and go do your work to clone like we just did and do course create, semester create, student create, registration create. And when you're done, changing the code and testing, come back here and we'll get rid of the code that we don't need. Okay, so why don't you pause and go do your part. Okay, and now we're back and we're going to delete the code that we're not going to need. Okay? In fact, I've got to pause to make that happen here. So I'll pause and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. What I had to do was to put in all the code that I just had you put in. And so now if we go to the top of views.py, we can see that we have an import here that has one grayed out entry, and that's because we're not using object create mixin any longer. So we're just going to delete that entry on that line. Okay. And then we don't have an unused import. All right. And we'll click off of that so that gets saved. And let's go open up utils.py. Okay. And we want to get rid of object create mixin because the only place that that was used, it was in views.py, and that's not, it's not being used there anymore. So let's highlight object create mixin and the two blank lines after it and delete. Okay. And now if we look up at the import at the very top, there's an import of redirect and render, and they don't appear to be being used any longer either. So I'm going to get rid of that import. And I guess I've got too many blank lines in the beginning, so I'm going to get rid of that. So I'll click off the line to make sure that gets saved, and we're done. Okay, so the whole motivation for the part 5 that we just did is to eliminate code that we would otherwise have to maintain ourselves. Okay, pretty good stuff. All right, let's say goodbye until next time. Bye-bye.